Hi, guys. Welcome to Chemo Glow. My guest today reminded me of a glow moment that I had. We were talking about the blue room. So here it is, the blue room. I'm sitting in this waiting room waiting for the results of my third mammogram. We were sitting here in blue gowns with our back exposed. Everyone trying to make small talk. You can tell the first timers. They are quiet and trying to look busy on their phones and reading a magazine. But that leg is a dead giveaway. It's shaking like it's ready to take off running. I think the only one here is me with one breast. The first time my left breast was center stage, and now the right one feels as if it's been left behind. It was interesting that I had this glow moment years ago, and my guest today, Terri, discussed her blue room moment. So I hope you enjoyed this episode with Terri. Hi guys, welcome to Chemo Glow, where the glow doesn't define me, I define the glow. I am so excited about my guest today. My guest is Miss Terri Robinson. How you doing, sweetie?
Hello, how are you?
Well, this is the first podcast that I'm recording where I might actually use some of the video to promote it when it comes out in May. So that's why I have a headscarf on. You see that, right? Yes, because my hair appointment's not till Friday. So I have to look like something. But girl, you look gorgeous.
The headphones are covering my edges.
Well, some of you guys might not know that Terri actually sat at my kitchen table, living room table, desk, floor, wherever we were at in my house and helped me come up with some concepts for Chemo Glow, from looking at the artwork to actually working on my Facebook, Twitter, all that stuff that I was like, yeah, Terri, I can feed you if you come over. I don't know what it's going to taste like, but I can feed you. And I have 2 kids that can run you ragged. So thank you so much for being my guest for 2021. Can you believe it?
You're welcome. And no, I can't believe it. When I'm happy we're in 2021.
Yes.
So
the world's still a little crazy, but
the world is still a lot crazy.
But at least we've come through the year, because in March my world stopped, as did many others. From working to traveling, all that came to a halt, and then your world started to speed up a little bit to working
working at home.
So it's been a little crazy, right?
It's been a lot, yeah.
And even through this, we still have to go get checkups. We still have to be seen, right?
Right. I was a couple of months late with mine.
Yeah, I had to. Go ahead.
I think I actually didn't go until August, and it was supposed to be in the May-June era.
Well, it was a little scary in May and June, so I cannot blame you at all for that. No. Well, Terri, introduce yourself to my millions of listeners in here, especially Robin Roberts, because anybody knows me knows I want to meet Robin Roberts. But go ahead and introduce.
She wants to meet you. We're going to work it out. And she always says this, so yes. I am Regina's friend. We met because of cancer.
Yes. We
met Talanya, who's been your guest before.
Yes.
We met through her and the Black women's group.
Yeah, Sister Network.
The Sister Network.
Yeah.
Me and my mom went to the Sisters Network, and we met Talanya and her mom.
Yes.
And then Talanya was like, I have another friend, and we're in another group. Mm-hmm. You need to come to that other group. And I was like, okay, because this group is it was a lot going on there. And so we started going to the Triangle Young Survivors Coalition.
Coalition, that is correct.
And yes, and so it was just between the two. I needed both. I really needed both.
I was going to ask you that because when I was diagnosed and looking for a support group or someone who I could relate to, everybody was 65 and over, and I was only 36. And I was looking at, being married, brand new, and then fiance to husband, and 16 days from, wife to patient, and him being my caregiver. It was just craziness. So I understand the importance of being in a group. And that's where I met you. And we kind of went through that group and then connected with another group who I'm going to have on soon. So how many years out are you from your cancer diagnosis?
I'm 9 years out, working on my 10th year. And by the time this comes out, May 5th will be 10 years.
Yes, so, and we will actually be doing your live in May. I can't remember the date right now, but I know we're going to be doing your live in May. Look at me looking at well, you know what? I can look at my calendar. How about that? Let's see. I can't believe we're in 2021. So your live will be coming out. This podcast will be coming out May 1st. And we'll be doing your live on the 12th. So I'm excited about that.
We're just going to have a party.
I think party. Because
that would be me.
Yes. And I know it's been hard to party in quarantine, but you always find a way.
A little bit, yes.
Just a little bit. Well, let's talk about this glow. Like, the glow doesn't define you. You define the glow. Right? You walk in your own light. And I've seen that with you during this time. Tell us a little bit about your diagnosis.
My diagnosis. I have a thing, I don't think I've had it lately, where I was getting debris in my milk ducts. And I had two surgeries. And then I just had my third surgery. Where I get debris in my milk duct, and TMI, y'all, express blood. It was not a good thing, and so I had been getting mammograms since I was 31, because I kept having this problem every couple of years. I'd wake up and there'd be a problem. By the third one, I was like, milk duct had acting up again. Let me call the doctor. So I went and I had the third surgery. And
wait a minute. So before you were even diagnosed, you've already had two surgeries to help with what was going on.
The expressing. I had debris in my milk ducts.
Okay.
Blood, And so I had been going to UNC for a while. And so that had probably been 8 or 9 years that I'd had a couple. So this was my third surgery. Wow. So I had my third surgery, and it was no big deal. They were always benign, the stones that would cut the milk duct. And so no problem, no big deal. I was used to it. Got a couple days out of work. And so one day I realized I had a checkup. And I lived in Chapel Hill, went to UNC. I worked in RTP in Research Triangle Park. So that was a long way. And I had a midday appointment, which they scheduled. I did not schedule because I would not come in the middle of the day, try to park when I lived close by.
Yeah.
So I was in a big meeting. I tried to get the people that worked in Chapel Hill to drop me off. I tried to cancel, and I just wasn't going to go to this appointment because it was my third. It always worked out. It was just a checkup and a mammogram for one breast.
Yeah.
And I go, and I'm running late, and then I couldn't find a parking space. And I was like, well, I'm going to go around one more time. If I don't get a parking space, I'm going home. But because I really was leaving, honestly, because I don't work there anymore.
Uh-huh.
I was gonna stop at the mall and buy something because I was going to a concert that night. So I needed to leave.
Oh,
work.
so you had plans.
I had plans.
You wasn't worried about this doctor's appointment. You had plans.
I was like, I'm going to give me something to eat because the important theme of me is I'm going to get me something to eat, and I'm going to go to the mall, get something to eat, and buy an outfit for this concert. Mint condition, by the way. It was great.
Oh, wow.
So I get there, and my last circle around the parking deck, there's a parking space right next to the breezeway that takes you across. And I said, okay, well, I guess I'll go. And then I was like, well, if y'all can't see me when I get there, I was like, well, I'll come back another day. And they was like, no, you just wait. We're going to go ahead and do it. I was like, okay, fine. So they bring me in, and I have my exam, and the woman's talking, and she goes, oh, look at her. And then she says, I'll be right back.
You never want to hear that.
No, because we're having a conversation. And she says, well, this is just a checkup. Your regular. So this was in May. And my regular appointment was going to be in October. So I was like, I'm not even going to go. I really wasn't going to go because I was going to go in October. And I had just had a mammogram the previous October and in December to prepare for this surgery. And they were like, hold on. So she goes and gets the resident, and he does an exam. He looks, and then they do an ultrasound. And then they're like, hold on. And so this was lunchtime, because,
Did you go get lunch? Were you going to get lunch at the mall?
I was going to get lunch either at the mall or in the cafeteria. It was going to be after the mammogram.
Oh, okay.
Yes. And so they said, wait a minute. And this was 9 years ago. The UNC Cancer Hospital had just recently opened about that time. And they had the old hospital, which was, thank God for the new UNC Cancer Hospital. It was a whole lot better than the old place. But they were also, UNC was also in the midst of turning all their records from paper or film to digital records. And some of my records were, they had to go to the basement and pull the records.
Okay, that sounds cool.
Yeah, because I had been going for several years. And so it turns out, that was about 2 o'clock. They did another exam. They wanted some more images. They looked again.
Of course.
So there's like 3, 4, and they're like, sit there. So I'm sitting in the gown.
In the room, or did they send you back out?
They send me back out in the waiting room.
Isn't that the worst?
With the women everybody's in the pajamas and they're watching the Martha Stewart show.
Yes, that is the worst. I always ask for 2 gowns so I can have front, back, and then I'm looking like, am I the only one with one boob in here? Like, what's really going on? So go ahead.
Yes. But my thing was people were coming and going.
Yeah.
Coming and going. And they were like, hold on, you okay? And then I was like, can I have a warm blanket? By the way, you can ask for warm blankets, and they'll pull them out, and they'll, when you get real cold, if you sit there for a while, practically naked, they'll give you blankets. And so I had a couple of warm blankets because they were cooling off.
Oh, wow.
And they were like, hold on, we'll be back. We're looking for something. And then they came back again. They did Dr. Lee, who is a head radiologist, one of the faculty attending radiologists, who you should never see till the very end when they go, good job, see you next year. That's her job. That's her main job, is to say, good job, see you next year.
But this time.
But this time she came in the room to examine me, and I was like, okay, sure. And remember, it was still one boob. And so all this was going on about that one. And then she says, she examined me, and it was almost 5. I had been there. I didn't eat. I was so hungry.
So you hadn't had anything to eat. You're hot, cold.
hot, cold, and I got stuff to do. I needed a bit. I was only
You
going to
need an
go for an hour
outfit.
and a half. I needed an outfit for a concert. I was going on a date. I was like, I got stuff to do.
I would tell you, cancer doesn't care what you're doing at the time. When it shows up, it comes to seek and destroy. Even conditioning concert tickets.
And so I'm like, okay. So Dr. Lee called. She calls me after I got dressed. Mm-hmm. I need to go see the doctor, and this is when I started to freak out because she says, "You need to come back on Tuesday. Do you have a problem coming on Tuesday? You need to come on Tuesday. Do I need to write you a note? Don't mess with me. You coming on Tuesday?" And I was like, "I'm coming on Tuesday. Yeah.
Uh-huh.
Are you sure? I'm coming back." And all right. Okay.
This is different from the other 2 times or the other 2 surgeries or the other multiple appointments.
Yes, because it was just completely different. Because she was like, You coming on Tuesday?" Yes. And then I was like, okay, yes. So I came back on Tuesday, and I had a book club where I was reading the Henrietta Lacks book.
Okay.
And his name, he was Russian or something. Uh-huh. The Serbian, the doctor.
I am so sorry about this. My husband knows I'm doing a podcast right now, but my little angel decided to jump in. Say hello.
Hello.
All right, bye-bye. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
It's in. This is so crazy. You know where it is, sweetie. I am so sorry about that. Oh my goodness. Keep going. That's what happens when you.
That's what happens.
Your studio is inside your home.
Yes. So I didn't make it back on Tuesday, and it was early in the morning because I lived in Chapel Hill and I could go before work. And I'm reading the Henrietta Lacks book, and I'm like, "What are you going to do with these cells? What are you going to do? Tell me." He goes, "You need this. Do you have a problem doing this?" I was like, "No, but tell me about it." Tell me. And the doctor goes, "Do you have questions?" And I was like, No, but what are you going to do with these cells? Are you going to keep my cells? Like,
are you going to test them?
Yeah. Are you going to test them? It's like, yes, we have to test them. So, because I was getting a biopsy. So I had to come back next Tuesday for an actual biopsy.
Oh, okay.
So I came back for a biopsy, and so it was him and a resident in there. Usually when you have a biopsy or suspicious area, they aspirate it. They put a needle in, they draw cells out to be examined. My cell, it was hard, like a rock.
Oh, wow.
They weren't unable to aspirate. And the reason that they were so interested and it took so long the week before is they were pulling my records because I'd had so many exams because of the different things. They were worried that they had missed something.
Oh, wow.
And because I just had 2 mammograms before that, 6 months before, but they didn't miss it. It had grown from the time that I'd had the surgery. It had nothing to do with the surgery. It was just happenstance.
Yes.
And it was a 3 centimeter.
Oh my goodness. So wait a minute. Let's back up real quick. This was an unscheduled appointment because you were supposed to be seen later on, right?
No, I had the appointment. It was a checkup.
It was a checkup
from the surgery.
Oh, wow.
So that was the May was just a checkup on the right side from the surgery. Where I had a full mammogram was due in October. And so I wasn't going to do it because this was my 3rd. Yeah. I'm used to it. I was just getting out. And I forgot about it. It showed up like a day before. They called to remind me about the appointment. And I was like, I don't know what you speak of. What do you mean I have an appointment on a Friday in the middle of the day? I would not do that. And they were like, you have this appointment. And I was like, well, I guess I go. And I really was not going to go.
Oh.
And so it was finding the parking space. They let me write in these things. And basically, guess I'm supposed to be here.
You're supposed to be here. Now, let me ask you, did you go to that concert?
I did. That was a good concert. That was a good concert.
What time did you leave UNC? And
I left about 5:30. But I was shaking. I went back to work. I think I might even have my work car. I went back to work because I really hadn't planned to be that long.
Yeah.
And I had been texting my boss. I don't know when something's going on. I don't know what's going on. And I just got my stuff and I was like, I'm stressing. Yeah. And I'm trying to stress. And then I had to let it go. So I had this concert. The next day, my baby sister was graduating from grad school. And so I had been out. I don't think I got home to like 3-4 o'clock in the morning, but that's another story.
So you go to UNC, get this news, say you have to be back, and you better be back. Did you make it to the mall?
No, I did not.
So you had to wear a repeat?
I had to wear a repeat. Because I really was shaken. Because Dr. Lee, she's a very serious. I don't know how to describe her, but she's very on point and she's very serious. And she doesn't really talk to the patients except for to say everything looks well. We'll see. Good job.
Good job.
We see you in X amount, and that's her thing.
Yeah.
For her to actually pull me and say, "I need you to come back."
Yeah,
this is serious. I was like.
So once you go back after the mint condition concert, you have the whole weekend, right?
Yes.
And then it's time for your biopsy.
Yes.
All right.
And they're talking, and he's like, they had to cut it because instead of use the needle to aspirate it because it was hard like a rock. And I was like, well, that don't sound good. And they were like, well, they will call you when it's available. So that was Tuesday. I couldn't stand it. Just couldn't stand it. So I ended up calling my family practitioner, and and I had an appointment that next Tuesday because I think that's when after they did conferences or something. And my family practitioner, she says, you have breast cancer. And she told me over the phone. But I'd rather have heard it from her because she had been my doctor for several years. And I knew it already.
Yeah.
Just the way they were
looking at
different.
you.
They
it
were
was
looking
different.
At me. It was different. And I knew it. But I didn't tell anybody. My mother was recently divorced and she was going out on a date. My son was going the same weekend. My son was going to the prom. So I knew it that Friday, but my son was going to the prom. My mother was going out on a date in Virginia.
Yeah.
And so I just kind of held it in for a week to myself.
Wow.
And because I was like, it's going to make things change.
Yes. And when you hear those words and then you have to say those words to your loved ones, your whole world. And or so having to learn how to say those words. Because I know I couldn't say it. Yeah. Yeah.
And, so I have a stepmom. She's my practice mom. I'm in college. I'm pregnant. I did this. You practice with you get the mom talk without the mom. So that is my stepmom. She's great. So she's my practice person. I have breast cancer. So I started out with practice mom, who I love dearly. And she's like, "Oh, have you told your mom yet?" Because that's usually her first thing. And he's like, "Not yet. I thought I'd tell you first."
Yeah.
And this, and she's like, "Okay, let's get ready." She goes, "Then we'll tell your father." Yeah. I was like, "Yeah," and then we'll tell your mother. And I needed more information, and then I had to. My son was in the. It was the ending. Like I said, he had just gone to the prom. It was his first prom. Yeah, he was in the 11th grade.
Oh wow!
And so things were just. I was at a good time. I loved my hair. I loved how I looked.
You were in a good space.
I was in a good space. I liked my job.
Everything was good.
Everything was just good. And so
I know the feeling. I was planning a wedding. I met my husband in Hawaii, like fairy tale.
Life was good, and I think that upset me.
Yeah.
And so I needed more information. I'm an information person. So I needed information. I needed to talk to people. I needed to gather facts and I'm the oldest sister, oldest child of all these kids.
I didn't know that. I didn't know you were the oldest.
There's six of my mom and dad have four, and then I have a stepbrother and another sister. So it's just lots of it. And I had two stepsisters, and there's just a lot of family. So
it's a gang of you guys.
It's a gang. But I needed information, and that's what I do. And so finally I started telling people. My son, I took him to a seafood restaurant over here in Durham, which is his favorite restaurant. And I told him, and I was like, order what you want. So he was like, I don't know. Do I want crab legs and shrimp, or do I want the fried feast portion? I was like, get both of them. Are you dying, Mama?
Did he actually say that?
He did.
You about made this his worst restaurant ever. Like, did he like this restaurant after it?
he did. Unfortunately, it closed down, but it was. But I was like, just get both of them. Just get both.
Oh my goodness!
And they're like $25, $30 platters. I was like, just get them all. And he goes, "You're dying."
Oh my goodness!
And I was like, "No, I didn't know. No. I'm just going to the doctor, but I'm gonna have to do these things."
Well, what kind of cancer was it? I know it's breast cancer. A lot of people don't understand that there's different types of breast cancer out there. So if you don't mind me asking, what kind of cancer did you have?
It was a triple negative. Okay. And it was very aggressive because, again, from 6 months before, there was no sign of it. To it was big and hard as a rock. And, because I think I tell you, I was like, so-and-so called and they said they had like a half a centimeter. What are they talking about? Oh, it was 3 millimeters. What is up with that? And I was like,
that is so crazy. Once you get jumped into this breast cancer gang, it's like, what are you? Stage 1? What do you have? Triple negative? What do you have? They're like, I done this. I had 12 radiations instead of 8. It's like, it's crazy in this thing, breast cancer world. But so triple negative. And
I've obviously called you and you said, everybody's is cancer. So even if it's not as big as yours.
When you hear the word cancer, it still stops you in your tracks. But I understand triple negative. Can you tell us what triple negative is?
Sort of. It's not... There's hormone does not show up, not really, but hormone doesn't show up, and because it's HER2 positive or something positive, and they treat them differently. Yes. But this particular triple negative cancer, it shows up in Hispanic, Black women, ethnicities more. Now, lots of different people get it, but it shows up in ethnicities a lot more. It shows up in younger people.
Well, what kind of treatment did you have to have for triple negative breast cancer?
So because it was so aggressive, they decided to do chemo first, then surgery, then radiation.
Okay. Now, are you on any type of medication? No. So that's what makes it really different. Triple negative, there is not a medication that you will take afterwards. No. Once it's done, it's done. There's lots of other issues, but there's no more medication. So there is that. So I did the 3 chemo drugs, and I also was on 2 steady drugs. I joined the steady. With Avastin, which is the main thing that they were studying in this. And I got all of these drugs. So I had 5 different chemo drugs. Oh, wow. That's a good thing about going to UNC.
Yes.
Is because it's the School of Medicine that they do have different studies and things going on that you can try, different trials that you can do.
Yes, different trials. And so I was on the trial, and I was getting the full complement of drugs. So...
And now you're 10 years. You're in your 9th year, about to be 10 years out.
About to be 10 years out.
Well, let me ask you this. Being diagnosed with cancer, a lot of people think, when your hair grows back, you're fine, everything's good. But did you end up in the hospital any other time after this initial surgery?
Yes. After the surgery, probably about 6 or 7 months later, I developed lymphedema.
Mm.
And actually, I had just started exercising a lot, going to Get Real and Heal.
Love them.
Love Get Real and Heal. I was working out, and I woke up one morning, and my arm had swollen. And so I had to take a break from Get Real and Heal. I had to start the whole process of working with the lymphedema specialist and doing all the things in the sleeves, and it was a lot. Mm-hmm. So I had that problem. And then I was just turning 40 and 41 through this process. And so it was, they were like, well, you might go into menopause, but you probably won't. We don't know. And so I went about 2 years without having a cycle or anything. And then it came back with a mad vengeance. It was like, I would have to take off. And so I ended up having a hysterectomy.
Wow.
It was horrible. It was painful. It was awful. I was like, and so between that and the lymphedema and just trying, I was tired. I think after radiation.
Radiation kicked your butt. Yes. Like for me, my lymphedema really started to really act up after radiation. So, and people don't know with lymphedema, because we've been to the same therapist, which I will have on the show this year. Love Valerie. Yes. But you have to wear a sleeve. Matter of fact, I just went to get my measurements for 2 new sleeves. And I have my nice little machine downstairs, my little pump. But people know that it's work to not be in pain, to keep the fluid down. And this is after surgery. This is when you're 10 years out. Yes. There's still stuff going on. It's forever, right? It sucks.
It's forever thing. It's something that's always in the back of your mind.
I call it the third wheel.
It's I can't get tattooed. You can't get tattoos. You can't get shots in that side of the arm. I don't wear watches. I really don't wear jewelry on that side. I have to be careful about cut. I scratched my arm out at the garbage. I was taking the garbage out one day and I scratched my arm. And I was like, did I get a scratch? Because
isn't it crazy?
Because I've also had cellulitis.
Yes, I remember that.
Yeah, because I called you when I was like, I just don't feel well. And I was like, call me. Just call me.
I'm like, I need you to go to the doctor.
And I said, well, okay, I'll go. I'm going to go to the doctor. I said, I'm going to go to the doctor. And then I'm, again, eating. I was like, I'm going to go to the doctor. And this is something that's out of town. I'm going to go get a cheeseburger.
And I was like, I need you to go to the doctor.
I was like, okay, well, I'll get the cheeseburger after I go to the doctor.
You should know that does not work. With your track record.
No, it does not work. Because I'm in there with the doctor and I was like, so are you bringing me my paper so I can go home? Where's my medicine? He said, oh no, you getting a bed. You need a full complement of antibiotics. They just waiting for your room to be ready.
And you think you
I'm gonna go get a cheeseburger.
I'm gonna need you to pack you some snacks anytime you go to the doctor. Because I remember calling you like, so how'd it go? I'm in the hospital. So you didn't get your cheeseburger.
I didn't get my cheeseburger. And I was like, I don't know what happened.
It is crazy. So many things come up after, even when you're taking care of yourself, it's the stuff that happens, side effects from surgeries, from therapy, from treatments. And during this time, okay, your son has graduated from high school. Things are going on, but your life starts to change again. Do you want to talk about that?
Yeah, my son's graduation. He graduated from high school, and one of my sisters was in the army,
Mm-hmm.
and we were out getting. We were having a cookout graduation because they had a really huge party. Because we were,
You had to make up for it.
I was over cancer. I had spent most of his fall football season. I was really sick. I ended up in the hospital twice doing the chemo process for blood transfusions. I had no white blood cells. I was dragging. I had a moment.
Yeah.
and and he made it through, and I was so proud of him. It was rocky between us. I probably didn't do the greatest things. I made decisions without really talking to him.
Yeah.
And I just wanted to thank him. So I had a big party for him. And one of my sisters came down, and so we were talking. And I was like, "Girl, I don't know what is up with my arm. It's all fat and puffy." And she says, "Girl, my arm is all skinny, and I'm losing muscle mass." She says, "I got real bad carpal tunnel. I don't know what this is." And I said, "And my hand is fat." And she was like, "Well, aren't we a pair? One's skinny and one's fat." And so that was the beginning of June. And in August, my sister called and she says, she goes, "I have ALS." I said, "You have," and being the smarty pants sister that I think I am, oldest one, I go, "You have Lou Gehrig's disease?"
Yeah.
And I said, how do they know? She goes, "They have ruled out," and she had been on medical leave.
Yeah.
From the beginning of the spring until August, because she kept going to the doctor. And the way they diagnosed Lou Gehrig's disease is by ruling out everything. When I say everything else, they rule out. They do so many tests, and if you don't have any of those things, the last thing standing is Lou Gehrig's disease.
Wow.
And I was like, so my sister is the life of the party, is even now.
Yes.
And she was a medic. Sometimes she's a wild child, sometimes she's the go-getter. She's the person that can use tools, and she could do calligraphy, and she could party, and she was the fun one, not me.
She enjoyed her life.
She enjoyed her life. And again, my mother has 4 daughters, and the rest of us are kind of retiring compared to her.
Yeah.
And I was like, "You can't let me have cancer. Good grief. You got to go and have something even worse."
Oh my God. I can see you saying that to break the ice.
and so, because that's what, we were like, wow.
Yeah. And
so we just went through Lou Gehrig's disease. So cancer that you got, it's a disease you get because, by the time with this study, and again, the Avastin, which, you're not really supposed to use for breast cancer patients anymore because that caused effects, high blood pressure and nosebleed things.
All that stuff.
All that stuff. I had lingering effects, but, as my sister said, you got some. They gave you some medicine, it's gone. And she was like, "We're going to work on it." And we went to doctor's appointments. We did things, but you just have to manage your comfort level.
Yeah.
And so, we managed it from 2012 to 2017.
Yeah.
And so that and sadly she passed away from ALS.
Yes.
And that affected my family. Since cancer's a blip, I mean, it's something I live with every day. But there are other things going on in the world while you're managing this disease.
Yeah. People are still living their life or getting sick or no longer with us during this time.
Babies are born, things are happening. Just
all this stuff is still happening in the world, and your life stops when somebody else tells you that they have something, and then they have something else. And then during that time, you took on your niece, your great niece.
one of
Yes.
these. Yeah, just one of her grandchildren. My sister had a few grandchildren, and just kind of help out. They were living with my sister and my mom. My mother became a caregiver. My mother
Mm-hmm.
is a superhero. She had been my caregiver, and then she thought she was kind of taking a break. She was going on that date and all that stuff.
Yeah.
And then while she was at my sister's house, she was just kind of planning her next move. Turned out her next move was to become my sister's caregiver, and so she took that on.
Yeah.
And then she had to help my sister with her grandchildren, and she was like, it got very difficult by then. My sister was you deteriorate with
Mm-hmm.
Lou Gehrig's disease, and so my mom was taking care of my sister's grandchildren, and the youngest one, my mom's like, "You're the only." I think I was the only one that didn't have. My kid is grown because
Yes.
he had done graduated from high school. My other sisters had younger children, and she was like, "She's coming to stay with you." I'm like, okay.
She's
So
coming.
she's coming, but it was I got to have a little girl where I didn't have. I had only had a boy who's very boy like, so it was new and different.
Mm-hmm.
So
Yeah.
again, and it, it might have done more good for me than it did for her.
Yeah.
She might be rotten because
She is spoiled rotten.
she is spoiled rotten
Like you
and
can't even deny it.
quite confident in herself.
She is. That is a good way of putting
Yes,
it.
she is
She
quite
is.
confident. My great niece
Yes.
is a confident individual who knows she is loved.
Yes, she is. You definitely did that. Like still going through, still dealing with, taking care of, helping take care of your sister, helping take care of your great niece, and then being there to be a support person for your mom. And you are the oldest. And now you're about to go into your 10th year.
Yeah.
What kind of party you throwing during COVID? I just need to know.
I haven't thought about it yet. Because I was in flux also. I was looking for a new job and doing things. So I went through this phase where I didn't want to talk about cancer. I didn't want it to be very prominent. I'm older, not really, but
that skin looks beautiful.
Skin looks beautiful. I'm old, I'm older. I was looking for a job. I didn't really want to talk about cancer.
I remember that because when we were starting, you were coming over to the house and I was throwing pitches at you and you were like, no, that one sucks. Or yes, this was good. After that, you made it real clear. I can't right now. I don't want to talk about it because you were actually going to be one of my guests in my first season. And now I'm in season 2. Can you believe it? So, and I got it because I didn't talk about it. At some point you want it to be in the rearview mirror. And every time you bring it up, there it is. And here I am talking about it now on Chemo Glow because guess what? Cancer doesn't define us, No. We define our walk. We define our glow. Everybody asks me, I don't understand why you name it Chemo Glow because I want my walk to be different. Cancer is not, that's not the first thing you should say about me. You should talk about this popping skin and these cheekbones first. Okay.
There you go.
And then, did you know she had cancer 10 years ago? Like that, I wanted to be in the rearview mirror. So I totally get that. So your life is starting to come back together. You find a job, you get employed and you're working. And through your working, as I'm throwing these pitches out to you about Chemo Glow, you were at UNC and you happened to be at the music school?
The music school. And I asked one of the guys, I was like, do you know anybody that works on, podcasts? And I was like, and he goes, I have someone for you. And I was like, I talked to him and I was like, Regina, I think I have someone. You have to meet him. and I was like, I'm super busy, but and I felt bad, but I felt like once you connected, I think things were in place.
It was perfect. You got me my podcast editor who was like half my age. I remember coming to get you for lunch, and I hated to park at UNC, and we went to this lovely coffee house. And then when I asked them, I was like, okay, whatever you having is on me or whatever. And then there was something that had a little bit of liquor in it. And I was like, you can get that. And he was like, I can? I'm like, yes. And I was like, you are my new editor. So it's perfect. He was actually on this start of this podcast to make sure that our sound was right. So I wanted to make sure that he was on for the start of the 2021 new season. But yeah, you connected me with my editor. And do you go to any of these support groups now that we're in COVID? Because you were like, you used to call me, Regina, you going? I'm like, I don't know if I can make it.
I have not. Again, the working, then I took on a part-time job. So I've been out of things. I follow the website and the Facebook page a lot. I tell other people, I connect with people. I try to make sure that I'm available when people ask me questions. Yeah. Or friends of friends.
Yeah.
Like, connect to these people. And I do.
Yeah, because you connected me to a friend, your friend.
Yeah.
So I hope to have her on this season too. But your friend who brother used to go to the School of Science and Math with my husband. So small freaking world around here. So yeah just going to those groups or having those resources, just because you don't attend anymore doesn't mean that you don't sing their praises and they help someone else.
No,
which is great.
And sometimes I know for a fact that, especially when I was in the middle of it, because I really didn't go to meetings until I was in radiation. So the YSC or the Sisters Network, I just didn't get to. And then by the time when I really needed to connect with them, I was sick. I was in the hospital twice doing the chemo portion. I hurt my ankle.
I remember that.
I hurt my ankle. I fell, and they almost didn't give me chemo because they were like, you can't do it. You got this thing. And then I had less than one something white blood cells. And so, by the way, another way of perking yourself up is getting a blood transfusion.
So you look for the perks and everything.
UNC blood transfusions and chocolate cake.
If you're going to be there, this is what you need to do.
Yeah, that's what you need. And so that's what they're known for, at least in my world.
Yeah. Every time I went into the hospital, you would be like, are you going to eat the chocolate cake? One, I'm not a chocolate fan, but every time I see you. Are you going to eat the chocolate cake?
I was like, if you're going to drive over there, find the parking space, I'm going to need you to get the chocolate cake.
Eat the cake, Anime. Eat the cake. That's what you kept telling me to do.
Did you ever try it?
I'm not a chocolate fan.
Oh my gosh.
But that did not stop you from every time I was like, you need to give me the chocolate cake.
I was like, at least bring it to me. So, yes.
Yeah, their desserts, when you have to stay there, their cafeteria wasn't bad.
Yeah, which is weird.
It wasn't bad. I've spent a lot of time in the hospital.
And, people that would come with me every Monday, I had a different people. They signed up and would drive on the app.
Oh, that's what I was going to ask you next about your care team. So, what app are you talking about?
It was it's one of the, I wish I knew, remember the name. It's one of the apps where you plan like your meals. And
the Caring Bridge or something. The
Caring Bridge, yes. Okay. Yeah. And so my church, my book club, the PTA from my son's school, just people I knew would sign up. There was a cooler outside my house on Mondays. I keep telling people one of these days I'm going to do sick people's chicken casserole rest cookbook, because I have had every chicken casserole.
So they would just drop it off, put it in your...
They would put it in the cooler.
Wow.
And it would be, so they wouldn't even, because especially towards the end, I'd be asleep or sick. And so my mom was there and they would just get that. But by the way, pizza works also because I wanted to make sure the thing that was important to me was that my son would eat the food. He's not going to eat all the different chicken casseroles.
Yes.
And so finally, one of the things I would tell people, either steak, meat and potatoes or meat and French fries, make it French fries or pizza, pepperoni pizza, because I wasn't going to eat it, especially towards the end. I wasn't going to eat the food, so I needed to know that he was eating and he was okay.
Yeah,
and so pepperoni pizza always works.
Chocolate cake, pepperoni pizza, and a blood transfusion.
Yeah, blood transfusion. And so and then people would, my cousins, my friends, my coworkers, my church would drive me. My mother didn't really like sitting at the infusion center, and she would take care of home. She was holding it down. She was ready for me to get into bed and fluff my pillows and thing. And but people would take time. So many people took time, and one of my friends, there was a tornado. Or there was a tornado at UNC, and they had to take all the infusion poles. But by then I fell asleep because of the Benadryl. And when I woke up, she was like, there was all these warnings, and we were sheltering in the hallway, and you were on the drip, but you're sleeping. And I was like, all of that happened?
You slept through all of that. And look, I volunteer at UNC, so I know about the drills and what we have to do. Because we have to take a whole training class on it. And you slept through all of that.
I slept through all of it. They had to get you, because they have these big windows so you can look outside and things. They're like, no window today. And she was like, I was a little frightened. And so... But yes, that happened. Just different. Like I said, I fell and hurt my ankle, and just things. It just.
Well, how are you now? Because you look great. This is probably the most I've seen you smile in a while.
Oh, good.
Yeah, I brought my girls, guys. You don't know, I brought my girls over during COVID time, but we went on your back patio. And you served us tea, and you went back in to work. So it's just me, my girls, and my dog. Because the reason why I was over there was because Maggie had a vet appointment. So you were like, you can still come. I'll put tea on the back porch. So we walk on the back. There's tea. You bought us
shade.
Yeah, you bought us pastries. I walked away with this beautiful. Can you see it? Lovely. Right over here. Beautiful. And those are my mom's glass flowers. And I got the whole idea about having your flowers given to you before you go. So I really like this vase over here. So I walked away with a gift too. I had tea and then walked away with an expensive gift. And it has a platter to it too. So
I was like, I'm sorry, but I'm working on something. I can't talk to you. I'm going to be over here though. Call me.
But it was perfect because the girls keep talking about, at night, my girls do this thing where they say who they're grateful for. What brings them joy. So at the end of the night, we sit and that's what they do. And they just started naming people. And your name came up so many times because of that cinnamon bud. And I had to call you and say, Alex and Kayla are grateful for you. You're in their prayers at night. And now Alex always likes tea. So now she really likes tea.
And they're grateful for Google House Bakery. Because apparently... They really like that.
They do. They like the pastries. So I thank you for that. Well, we're almost an hour in. Can you believe that? For someone that says, guys, Terri called me. Now, I've been knowing her for years, right? But she called me and was like, you text me and said, so what are we going to talk about? And what did I text you back and say? Cancer.
I was like, do we have a list of topics?
Like a list of topics? I'm like, yeah, I'm not doing that. Then she was like, go on my Facebook page and look at what I post. I said, yeah, I'm not doing that. I like my interviews to be very laid back. And if I read everything about you, it's like I'm coaching you to say stuff. And I like to learn new things about my guests. And then I called you to remind you, look, it's going to be at 7:30. We're going to set up and do all this good stuff. And you were just really like, what are we going to talk about? I was like, Terri, we're not talking right now. I'm going to talk to you during the podcast. And look, for someone who said, I don't know what we're going to talk about, we've been in for a whole hour.
And we've actually talked about things I don't think we've ever talked about.
We've never talked about it. And that's why I don't talk to my guests, especially the ones that I know well, because I know there's something out there. And I just remember you telling me the story about not eating. And that used to crack me up. Like that used to crack me up. But I had no idea that you were the oldest. I didn't know that, any of those things. And that's what I like about Chemo Glow, because I really want to see what your glow is. Show me your glow moments. And you definitely, like, these are things we've never talked about. And you've been to my house several times. I've been to yours. We've been to tea houses together, art galleries. If there is a place to go when COVID is over with, Terri's going to send me about 100 emails and about 100 text messages. And I appreciate them all because my husband is like, you're going to go out with the girls? Just text Terri. She knows everything. We even actually went out to a concert together, my husband and I and you. We went to go see something, a comedy show.
Oh, yeah.
We did.
I love that comedy show.
Yes, that was a good comedy show. So Terri knows what's going on in all the surrounding areas. And she even found a place where my new house is at and took me there before we even moved in. You remember that?
Yeah.
That is crazy. Well, what would you like to end this podcast with? Because it's been a joy. And I'm so happy that you're on season 2 of Chemo Glow. Is there anything you would like to tell the guests? Because you were here at the very beginning. We've both been through a lot of our ups and downs when it comes to lymphedema and things like that. And just keep going. Like life keeps going. So what would you like to talk about? What do you like to end this with?
I guess keep going. Just keep going. There's more. Cancer's not the only thing. Mm-hmm. It's just a moment. Mm-hmm. It seems, separate. Try to be healthy. I'm trying. Try to enjoy life.
Yes.
I really do like to try to enjoy everything I can. I'm going to try at least once. I'm going to do this. I'm going to go here. I'm going to go.
You are. You will get on a train and go somewhere, go to somebody's book signing in DC.
I have done that. It was lovely. And I was like, let's go try this. I'm going to try it just because, one, I know that life is precious.
Yes.
You don't know what can hit you.
Mm-hmm.
And try to be healthy. I need to work a little harder on that.
Yeah. We all do.
Keep me because we did learn that I like to eat and and go to restaurants and things and enjoy myself. Mm-hmm. And so it's out there. There's so many changes, from the study that we're in. One of the study drugs I was on is not recommended for breast cancer anymore. Mm-hmm. The people who have triple negative now, you talk to them and it's like, is that what they're doing? Oh my.
Yeah.
And it's almost completely different from the services that we receive.
Yeah.
And it's just keep striving, be nice to people because you never know who's out there or how you'll connect with them.
Yeah.
Those are my things. Be kind.
Be kind.
Be kind and try things.
Let me say, I know that you have artwork going on back there. So I know I'm going to be at some art gallery when this world gets back to a better place.
Yes.
And I'm going to make sure that I hang out with you at one of those art galleries because I need something new in my home. You see my little drawing. Oh, it's on the other side. My little drawing of my house right there. So I need to hang something up in the new home. Well, Terri, I'm so happy to have you on. If you guys don't know, Terri's voice is the ending of every podcast. All right. So I kept that on there because you were in my living room at my kitchen table helping me figure some things out. So guys, just remember that the glow doesn't define you. You define the glow. And again, my glow is bright for 2021. Terri, stay on. Guys, I want to thank you. This has been a pleasure. Say bye to the guests, Terri.
Bye, you all. Nice seeing you. Sound editing is provided by Josh Masters. If you like what you hear, please rate and review the podcast in iTunes. Connect with Chemo Glow on Facebook, Twitter, or Instagram. You can also find more content at chemoglow.com.